Hello and welcome to the Runna Podcast. Today we spoke to Bryony Gordon, British journalist, mental health advocate, best-selling author and runner. You might know her from running around in her underwear doing marathons to break the stigma of women's bodies.
She talks us through her journey into running, which started at a place battling alcoholism and addiction. And over that time, she's truly learned to love running, which is what's helped turn her whole life around. Over that time, completing multiple marathons, and you will hear that what shines through is a truly infectious energy, and you're going to love listening to this episode.
Hey Bryony, how are you?
I am all the better for being here, Anya, with you guys.
We are honoured to have you, and we can't wait to dive into your incredible life and story and journey with running. So we'd love it if you could take us right back to the beginning. And where did your relationship with running really start?
Okay, well, so my relationship with running is, I'm a late bloomer, I would say. It was certainly nothing, I never did it at school or anything like that. Exercise for me was very much something I did to kind of punish myself. I was born in 1980. So for my generation as women, we were kind of told to exercise to make ourselves kind of smaller. That was what it was about, or, you know, to be the fastest or the strongest or whatever. And I was like none of those things. I hated cross country. I'd have massive boobs. So it was like, this is not for me kind of thing. And then I also had this kind of background history of mental illness, and my whole life, the way I dealt with that was drugs, alcohol, all of that. And then I got to my mid-30s and knew something had to change, and I was desperate. I was having a kind of a breakdown, I guess you'd call it. I've had obsessive compulsive disorder since I was a little girl, and I knew that I couldn't, I'd got like a 2-year-old. I knew I couldn't continue to medicate in the way that I did, which was alcohol, basically. And, you know, I'd heard people say, exercise is really good for your mental health. And I was so desperate that day. I remember I can see myself standing in my flat in South London, like looking in the mirror, like if you don't do something, you're gonna, like I needed to crawl out of my skin. I felt so awful, just swarmed with intrusive thoughts. And so I decided I'm like, go out for a run. I don't know where it came from. And I put on, this is so embarrassing, I like didn't have any running shoes. I had like Converse, leopard print Converse trainers that had holes in them, and then I got like some tracksuit bottoms, my husband's like Star Wars t-shirt, right, put on like 2 bras because I was, you know, I didn't have a sports bra, and then I sort of left the flat and thought, oh no, I'm gonna die if I don't bring water with me. So I went back in and I didn't have like a water bottle, so I got one of my daughter's like Tommy Tippy sippy cups, and I must have looked like I was on day release, you know, because I was from my head, and I didn't, like, I guess what, spoiler alert, didn't go far, didn't go very fast, but I kind of just jogged for like 20 minutes around the block, like just ran in circles with my sippy cup, and it was like, for that 20 minutes, instead of focusing on the terrible thoughts in my head telling me I was like the worst person in the world, I had to focus on sort of staying alive and breathing. And I suppose that was the kind of start for me. But then where it really kind of, I suppose where the bug really bit was in 2016. Because I by this point started writing about my mental illness a lot for the newspaper I was working at, and I'd written a book about OCD called Mad Girl. I was invited to the launch of Heads Together, which was the mental health campaign launched by Prince William and Harry and Catherine. And yeah, I was invited along to the launch at the Olympic Park, and I was introduced to the now Princess of Wales. And she was talking about how Heads Together was going to be the official charity of the London Marathon in 2017. And I said, oh, are you going to do the marathon? And she said, oh, I can't because it's very difficult to secure 26.2 miles. And know why I said this, but I was like, well, if I could do it, I was like, yeah, excuses. If I could do a marathon, anyone could. And I was like, I don't know why I've just said that. I've never done a marathon. I've like eaten a marathon. Do you know what I mean? Like a Snickers bar or whatever. For younger people, that's what Snickers bars used to be called. Anyway, the guy standing next to her was like, do you want to do the marathon for Heads Together? And then the Princess of Wales, as I should call her, our future queen, was like, "You're going to do the marathon?" And I was like, "I guess I'm going to do a marathon then." So that was literally, and you can't row back on it. Once you've sort of committed to it in front of the future queen, you have to do it. And I remember going home, and it was just like such a bizarre day where it was like that people thought I was kind of sensible enough to be introduced to these royals and stuff. And I remember going home and being outside in the garden with my husband, like having a glass of rosé and a cigarette. Because this is, and being like, oh, I'm going to do the London Marathon. And he was like, I'm sorry, what? He was like, you do know how far a marathon is? I'm like, it's a long way. Yeah, whatever. And he was like, the first person to run a marathon dropped down dead at the end. But I was like, that was in ancient Greece, things have changed. But yeah, so that was it really. And I signed up, didn't think about it. That was like May 2016. And I remember someone from Heads Together who'd done lots of marathons, saying to me, just make sure you can do 10K by Christmas. And I was like, okay, whatever, put it off. And I sort of I trained and I did 10K on Christmas Eve 2016, and I thought I was Mo Farah. I couldn't believe it. And then thinking, oh my God, I've got to do that again, like another 3 times or whatever. I thought, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna die. And then amazingly, I remember on the day standing there on the start line of the London Marathon, and I'd had the most just incredible months training for this thing. And I remember standing there on the start line being like, okay, I've done 20 miles, I've only got to do 10K on top of that, and it was like this madness of how, for me, that was the magic of running, which I'd never seen exercise in that way. It was always about, as I said, making my waist smaller. And here was this thing that had made my brain bigger and my life bigger. And it had literally changed the neuroplasticity of my brain, whereby I couldn't run run around the block, and then 6 months later I was standing there on the start line of a marathon, and that was incredible to me. It was like, wow, I'm very neurospicy. I do well if you give me a structure and I follow a plan. And each week it was like my brain was like, you can do a little bit more than you thought you could the week before. And it was seeing my body as a sort of gift as opposed to something that was a kind of, that was wrong, which is how I'd always felt it. And it just changed my life completely, basically. So that's sorry, I actually haven't taken breath since you asked the question.
Well, I mean, it's so funny because that's very much how I would imagine Anya and I would describe our love of running. We'll stand on the start line of a marathon and we will be grateful for the training that we've enjoyed the journey to that point. And then you get to go and do this amazing thing, which is really hard and painful, but feels magical. And then you forget how painful it was and you think about doing it again one day.
Yeah. It's like childbirth.
I'm sure, but I can't personally relate. But that's during the most amazing outcome of such a short period of time that like is exactly where you wanted to get to, probably when you looked in the mirror at the start line. And like, there are probably a lot of people listening who don't feel like you described at the end, or how maybe Anya and I feel with our running. What was it that created that change in your brain? Or is that just running?
Well, I think it's running, and I think it's following a plan and doing something and the kind of simplicity of it, And I also think that, for me, running very quickly became a way. I am running, the story with running doesn't end there. What that training for that marathon did was it showed me this whole other way that I could live my life, because the way I lived my life up until that point was like in active alcoholism. I was this, on the face of it, successful writer, journalist with a husband, a child, a flat in Clapham, a bugaboo, whatever. But I was kind of dying inside, and my way of coping was to drink. And I saw this other way, and choosing to do the marathon was like, also I had hoped that it might like knock my drinking on the head, and it didn't. Like I stopped drinking while I was running the actual marathon, but I was like running, like, like the night before my last long run, I went on this massive bender, and it became really clear to me that I had a massive fucking problem. I couldn't, sorry for pardon my French, I couldn't deny that I was an alcoholic and I was an addict. And, I trust the process now, and I don't think it's a coincidence that like 2 months after I crossed the finish line of that London Marathon, I took myself to rehab, and I haven't had a drink since, And it was like running transitioned me from this kind of this life of, chaos. My life is still quite chaotic, but it's far more manageable than it used to be, It sort of took me from this life of mental illness and drinking and drug taking and eating disorders and all sorts of, just horrible stuff. And it sort of transitioned me into this new dawn of this other, like another world where it's like I am genuinely now kind of, 8-9 years on, I don't recognize the way I live my life anymore. I'm still the same person, but I am, like, the things I do blow my mind, If you told me that I would be thinking, like I can think, I think in marathons, or, and that's mad to me, So yeah, it is addictive. There's a lot of people, I will not be the first person to have sat in this chair and chatted to you about how they've replaced addiction and to drugs and alcohol with running. It's classic. But for me, it's like sometimes people are like, oh, did you just swap, alcoholism for running? I'm like, the thing about running is I've never ended up in like a crack den in South London at 4 a.m. because of it. Like it's like, I'll take that.
Yeah.
And my husband will take that over where I used to be,
So you said that you took yourself to rehab shortly after, or 2 months after finishing that first marathon. Do you think the reason why you were able to do that is because you've just done such a hard challenge that then it makes the challenge of having to take yourself there smaller? Like, is that the unlock that then carried that path on in that right direction?
I think that's definitely, it's really interesting. I don't know whether, because I'd already had, thinking about it, running. So this is what, actually, I think it's kind of the other way round, that because I was used to fighting these quite intense battles in my head without having ever left the house, running. So I think that's why I took to marathon running or training for silly things like that, extreme things, because it was like that felt really easy to me in comparison to some of the stuff I'd been through in my head before. So it felt like a privilege to me, and it was like such a joy that I was getting up and out of the house every day, and I wasn't locked in my own head. I don't know if that makes sense, but I also remember, like on that first marathon I did, I remember there were times where I was like, is there ever going to be a time I'm not running the London Marathon, because I'm quite slow, but like I just loved it. Like I was just like, oh, this is like, I don't know where the wall is, I haven't hit it yet, this is just amazing, people are like shouting my name and handing me Haribos. I'm like, what's not to love? Like it felt like a piece of piss compared to some of the stuff that I'd battled through in my head. But yeah, I think they are sort of, they complement each other in so much as when you're in a hard place, when you're training, you hit you're like, fuck, I can't do this. You're like, you can do this because you've been to rehab, you've got sober, this is a privilege in comparison, and then when I had to take myself to rehab, it was like, well, you did a marathon this year, you can do this too, it's just a different type of marathon.
That like chaotic world that you used to live in, I think a lot of people struggle and feel a lot of shame around that, and I just wondered how you turned that shame into like self-compassion of just like being proud of yourself for like getting out and running around outside and actually like being able to just enjoy that, like you just said.
Well, I don't know, it's how do I answer that question? So I think that's the way you do it. Like we were talking about this slogan that you'd seen before you ran the London Marathon, the New York Marathon, which is like
running's awful, I love it.
Running is awful, I love it. Yeah, and there is a sort of familiarity in pain, isn't there? And certainly to me, it was like running allowed me to take myself from that place of putting myself in dangerous situations to being like, but look, you can do this. There's this other way to live, and you can be kind to yourself. Like, I didn't think running was for someone like me, someone who was a bit larger, size 18, a little bit older. I was always worried about my pace, or that, people would laugh at me or whatever. And I think actually what I found when I went and did like the London Marathon, and I started doing like quote unquote races, was that I found it was actually a really inclusive community where people were like, oh, this is really great that you're doing this. There wasn't any of that kind of shaming stuff. So that helped me to kind of feel better about myself, if that makes sense.
I think it's the quote that like you're your own worst critic.
Yeah.
And I think it's that like, as a coach, the things that you say to other people, you don't say to yourself.
Yeah.
In the same way, like I would be so much more kind and supportive to Anya than I am in my own internal dialogue to myself, which is, I think, exactly what you're like articulating.
Yeah, and I think also like, what it amazed me when I did that first marathon, and I saw how, like, when I turned up on the day at London Marathon, and it was like so many different kinds of people and runners, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that this was for me. And I think I knew then that like I really needed to be, because I had a bit of a platform, like I had to be really visible, because I couldn't see anyone out there like me publicly being like, running is great for your, you can do this if you're a bit larger, So, because I was like, guys, this is a really good way to make yourself feel better. And I knew there were a lot of women getting in touch with me on Instagram and being like, I don't think I can do this. I'd love to be able to do like a park run, but I don't think it's for me. I'm too slow. Everyone's saying I'm too slow, I'm too slow, I'm too slow, I'm too large. And I was like, no, you can do this. It's, this world is there and it's ready to be discovered. And so I guess it's sort of, I don't know, I'm sort of not even answering your question now, but that became my, like, I need to let people know that this world is there,
Yeah.
And how has the 9 years, if I'm following correctly, been since you finished the London Marathon, you went to rehab and have gone sober?
Mm-hmm.
Your running has transformed, and like you said, you now think in terms of marathons. How have the years, or how has your running journey progressed thereafter to be where you are today, and to be such an amazing advocate for women and being yourself on start lines?
Well, so I guess that was definitely only the start of it. And shortly after I came out of rehab, I remember a friend of mine who was a plus size model called Jada Cesar being like, I want to do a marathon. And we got places in the London Marathon, and we were training, and I was like, what if we did it in our underwear? Like, what if, to show that, like, this is to really visibly show that exercise is for everyone, no matter your shape or size, but also to show that it's, that it's not about, you can do exercise not just to make yourself smaller or to be to take up less space. You can do it because it's really good for your head. For me, that was like, oh, exercise isn't just about the way I look physically, it's also about the way I feel mentally. And anyway, so I suggested this to her. I remember we were out on like the Thames Path, and it was like February, and it was snowing. It was fucking freezing, and she was like, "Yeah, why not?" So then that became this whole thing. We did the London Marathon in our underwear in 2018, and I think I kind of thought, that you'll do that once, and then body acceptance will be kind of solved or whatever. I don't know. I didn't foresee that I would still be running around in my pants like, where are we? 6 years later, or no, hang on. But yeah, 7. Well, I don't know. Anyway, 2025. But yeah, so running has become this. Yeah, I basically professionally, I don't know, professionally run around in my underwear. I think that's what I do now. Like, that's not what I thought when you grow up, Bryony. The age of 45, you'll be like running the London Marathon in your pants and stopping on the side of the road to like reapply Body Glide between your thighs. But that is what I do. I kind of jiggle my cellulite around on running courses around the world to show women that they can do whatever they fucking want.
Yeah, it is breaking down all the stigmas that women have with our bodies, because, as you say, yeah, you think about the stereotypical runner and you think small and you think lean and you think fast, but really the general runners are not that, and smaller definitely doesn't mean faster. And I also remember seeing a post that you did where you were like, unless you're Kipchoge, like, I really don't care what time you run.
Oh my God, people always, it's so funny. Like when I tell someone like, oh, I've done a marathon, and they're like, really, what was your time? And I'm like, well, what was your time? And they're like, I haven't done a marathon. I'm like, well, exactly, fuck off. Like, what the fuck is this obsession? Like last week, my husband's like this as well. Like last week I was like, oh my God, Sarah Cox, she's just done 5 marathons in 5 days. And my husband says this to me, he's like, yeah, but what was her time? I'm like, what was your time when you did 5 marathons in 5 days, you absolute prick? Like, this obsession with time really gets on my tits. And yeah, but I had to, because I had to really let go of it. It's almost when someone asks me that, it's like, you looking for proof that I've done a marathon. It's, and it holds us all back, and for some people it is it's a useful metric that motivates them, but like for a lot of people it puts them off ever putting on their trainers and going out there in the first place, because they're like, I have to do a certain time, to be worthy, otherwise it's embarrassing, and I still get that thing where I'm running a race and I'm like, oh God, and I'm embarrassed at the back because there's not that many of us or whatever, and I'm like, get that thinking in the fucking bin, Bryony, or because I'm walking for a bit, it's like, no, it's the fact is we're out there and we're doing it, and for me it's not about being the fastest, the quickest, the strongest. It's about being the happiest, and like getting those endorphins going. And I think I'm quite fast. For me, I'm like, wow, I'm like, God, I just ran a 38-minute 5K. I am basically Kipchoge. And my husband's like, I barely went into zone whatever 2, whatever they say. So I'm out there representing, like, I can see loads of amazing people out there running really fast, and I have masses of respect for them, right? But I want there to, like, I did a post the other day. I did the Great South Run, and I kind of did this like jokey post where I was like, the real elites are us lot out here, who are running like 7-minute kilometers, 8-minute kilometers or whatever. Because you guys, you two are like, your feet are up, you're having a pizza or whatever, you're not out there for that long, whereas if I'm running 10 miles, I'm out there for like over 2 hours. If I'm running a marathon, I'm probably out there for 6 hours. Like, that's very tiring. I'm on my feet for a long time, whereas you're only on your feet for like, I don't know, how long are you on feet for? Like 2 hours?
I think we've both got the same PB of 2 hours 34.
I mean, sorry guys, but that's just not very long.
But
quite lazy, actually. Like you go out there and be pushing your zone whatever for 6 hours. Like, I'm the fucking elite athlete here.
I completely agree.
But some people didn't like it. They were like, how dare you, like, people give up all their time. There are people out there who are going to work and then they're training really hard every night, to get those times. And I'm like, I go to work and I'm training really hard every day to get my time as well. And what I mean is, I don't see people representing us lot, the back of the pack. So that's what I'm there for, because it's like, it's a great place to be and someone's got to be there. So it may as well be me in my pants, and it doesn't, I love it. I'm genuinely, I do feel a bit jealous, like that bit at the London Marathon where you're coming over Tower Bridge and you see the people that are like almost back and you're like, you bastards, you bastards.
You could just jump the fence.
I also, they always look so miserable. Those, guys,
completely.
the really fast ones. I'm like, they look all like they're about to drop down dead in misery. They're trying to get there because they're going so fast. And I'm like, just chill out. Like, have a little Jeff.
Have you thought about it the other way round? Which is, for value for money, you are laughing.
Yeah.
We pay, let's say a marathon costs £100.
Yeah.
We're paying, £45 an hour?
Yeah.
Where if you take 6 hours, it's like £18.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, your marathon per hour, you're getting such a good deal.
Yeah.
So, we're actually, you get to enjoy yourself for twice as long. And actually, objectively, in the moment, you're probably enjoying it more as well.
Yeah, I don't always enjoy it. I'm not going to lie, Ben. There are times, but I definitely felt like the marathon this year, the London Marathon, which was hot, and I definitely got to the point where I was like, I'd done a hot marathon before and I'd hated it. It was really miserable. And I was like, right, we're not going to have a miserable time now. And so I told myself, I'm going to, every 2 kilometers, I'm just going to walk for a minute, and just kind of take and enjoy it and have a smile on my face at the end, because I am, you're in your pants, so lots of eyes are on you, do you know what I mean? And you're about representing and going, no, this is great, I'm having a really good time. And I remember coming down Birdcage Walk, and a friend of mine who's much faster than me, but she ran, because there's nowhere to put my like gels when you're only wearing your underwear, so I always need like a pack horse with me to hold all my gels, and she'd volunteered. And she was like, come on, Bryony, we can like get in, we can run this last bit. And I was like, no, let's walk and soak it up and enjoy it and be smiling, Yeah, I do like that. I loved that. I loved the one because I took it. I was like, right, we're not here to break any records. We're not here. We are here to have a good time, not run a good time.
And I think that's the point, is that like running is multifaceted, and you can have any of these many different goals, which might be to run faster, it might be to run further, it might be to get your resting heart rate down, or to overcome an addiction, or just for the mental health or the structure. All of these things, and also in different points in time of your life and within your year and your running calendar, those goals might change.
Totally.
And I think like it is not to say that running for a good time is a bad goal.
No.
But it's also not to say
it's the only
goal.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important that you showcase that there are other goals in running. And I think it's also true that, and you don't spend the entire year focusing on time. You probably spend more of your year that Bryony does. But I think like that's the point, is that like there are all these reasons to focus on our running. And by focusing on your running for your reasons, you also do get fitter, and your 5K has improved in your years of running, which is a nice byproduct. And now you get to feel like Kipchoge. And it doesn't need to be your driving force.
I am.
Sorry.
Watch out, Kipchoge.
I actually forgot. We're recording him later, and I actually got you two muddled up.
Is he quite excited to meet me?
Well, I actually thought I was talking to him from him, but yeah, I think like that's the whole point.
Well, the point is, I mean, listen, there are lots of different points, right? As you say. And my favourite thing is to go down to Battersea Park, which is like all the bros, you know, like running, chasing each other around, doing laps, you know, they're like, oh, just casual.
Tell us more about the type of person that runs relentless laps at Battersea Park.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe I've whizzed past you two. I don't know.
No, she's like the Battersea Park queen.
I'm surprised I haven't seen you.
It's probably because I'm going so fast past you, Anya. You what?
Do you think about it like a hamster wheel?
Yeah,
that they just...
I don't run laps around Battersea Park. I just like cut past, go down the river on my way to, you know. But what I like doing is going down there in like a marathon, like a marathon t-shirt, because the bros have run the marathon too, and they kind of do a double take, like, you've run a marathon, you know, and they're like, oh, have you just borrowed that off your like husband or something? And I'm like, no. And I quite like, you know, like I want to tell them like, actually I'm like 13 miles into a long run or something, you know, but just poodling along, you know, my boobs bouncing up and down. In my marathon t-shirt, you'll probably have to take that out. But you know, I like that it sort of subverts people's expectations as well. You know, you don't have to be, you know, you don't have to be I mean, there's obviously cut-off times for marathons and stuff, but I think we've seen how much, like when I first did a marathon in 2017, the thing was very much like people at the back were being kind of swept up into bins, you know what I mean? And now it's like, you know, they cheer on the last person to cross the line as much as they do the first, and you know, it's changed massively. And I think that's
the example, and I was thinking of it as you described the people who have to work harder being out there for twice as long or longer. When you complete an Ironman, the pros might do it in under 8 hours, which an Ironman takes a long time. If you start at 7 a.m, doing it at the cutoff time, which is 16 and a half hours, might mean that you're finishing at 1:30 a.m. The final hour is what they call hero's hour. And a lot of the athletes might have finished their bikes and had dinner.
Yeah.
And then everyone comes...
Had a massage, gone to the spa.
But that's the most impressive hour, which is the people who've been out on their feet for 16 hours.
Awake.
And they are fighting to hit that finish line. And it's celebrated as the hero's hour. Everyone goes back, celebrates, and supports them over that finish line. And I think that's like that mindset shift, which is recognizing that those people have worked the hardest. Yeah. And it's why that they should be celebrated when they are the last to finish the marathon, because they've had to work just as hard. Like per minute, you're working just as hard, but you have to do it for twice as many minutes or 3 times as many minutes. So they deserve that enormous round of applause.
An Ironman. I did a sprint triathlon many years ago, and I came second to last, which I was really proud of. Yeah. Someone had to. I only just beat a 68-year-old woman who was like recovering from some terrible illness or something. But anyway, I thought, no, this is not like the swimming was all right. But the bike, I just hate being on a bike. And then by the time I got to the running, I was like, this is stupid. And I watching like Spencer, for example, doing it now, and I'm like, oh no, don't fancy that. But you know, maybe that's where we have to go next.
Yeah. But do you think there's a bit where you are showing up for yourself in running and maybe triathlons and things, and that almost mirrors what you did when you decided to turn your life around and you were showing up for yourself then?
I think it's that thing of like, mental illness is very isolating. That's the thing all mental illnesses have in common, is that they lie to you. They tell you that you're a freak, they tell you that you're alone, and they tell you that no one's going to understand what you're going through, and they make you want to stay alone inside in your own head. You know, you think that's where is safer. And you know, I kind of feel like running is the quickest, easiest way to prove that wrong. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I always run in the morning. It's like the first thing I'll do most days. And I don't always want to do it. Like I always say that to people who are starting off, like no one ever wants to go for a run, but no one ever regrets going for one, you know, like the feeling at the end of it. And for me, it's the quickest way to like regulate myself. So I get up, I run the same loop around Clapham Common, not Battersea Park, and I'm like I'm like the version of me that I want to be. I feel calmer. I do think it it does regulate my brain and my thought process and all of that. And the endorphins are sort of, they have some sort of magic woo-woo thing, and they just stop the chatter in my head. There's a lot of chatter in my head.
Do you think there's two Bryonies then, like the old Bryony and then the new running Bryony?
There's
And do
Bryony
you try to...
before she's gone for a run, and there's Bryony after she's gone for a run. There's also Bryony during the run, which is not that pretty.
But do you try to disassociate yourself from the older or like the other Bryony, or do you use that to be like, I've done harder shit than this?
Yeah, no, totally. Like all the versions of Bryony, I sound completely mental, don't I now? They're all there, running beside me, and I'm carrying her along as well. And that party girl, that sad, lost, addicted party girl, has made me the person I am today. Who turns up and does these kind of slightly. For like they're not, I suppose, like running a marathon for a lot of people that might be listening to the Runna. Well, I don't know, but for a lot of, the bros that I see running laps around Battersea Park is like, it's not that big a thing, or it's not. But for kind of a 45-year-old woman who's a size 18 and who used to be in active alcoholism and who never did any exercise at school, who hated PE, it's like a massive thing. And I can do that because of the pain I used to be in, not like in spite of it. Do you know what I mean? It's because of that I can do what I do today. And I genuinely, hands on heart though, actually have got to the point now where, that thing of running is awful, I love it. I genuinely wholeheartedly love it. I love it. Like, I haven't been able to go for the last 2 days because I stupidly, about 3 weeks ago, tripped over on a rock in Cornwall running to Land's End, and then thought it was okay and ran back, and then it was like, no, it was like blew up. And so I'm a little bit glitchy still, and so I can't go like 5 days, 6 days a week. And I genuinely feel like well,
I think like once you get to the state that we all have, which is we love running like we do, you take it away for a period of time, whether that's a sore foot like you had as well, or whatever injuries that we all have to experience, we become worse versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is obviously what you're going through. I guess you have so much in your running achievements to be proud of. Like, what's your proudest running achievement?
I guess, well, actually, it was actually probably running the London Marathon this year, because I'd tried to get to the start line of I've only done 3 marathons. And
which is not only that.
Yeah. No, I know, but like
they say 1% have done a marathon. It's actually 0.2 or something. To have done 3 marathons is absolutely crazy. So not only.
I think people think I've done more marathons than I have, and I had tried to get to the start line of my 5th marathon on 5 separate occasions and got injured. Like last year, I got like a stress fracture, and I thought, oh, maybe this ship has sailed. Like, just give it up, Bryony. And I didn't know. I felt I was just so I'd sort of lost a lot of confidence in my ability to run long distances. And I had this really lovely physio who got on board and was like, we're just going to do this a bit differently. We're going to, and this is the other thing I love about running, is that you think there's only one way to do it, but actually there's lots of different ways, and you can adapt it to your body. I mean, this with your app. And the longest I'd run was the weekend before. I'd run a half marathon in that training block, and I did it, and I really enjoyed it, and I loved it, and I didn't hit a wall, and it gave me all the confidence back in my body. And so I just really enjoyed that marathon. I loved it. And but I would like to do, I really, when I see like Sarah Cox doing something like she did the other week, when I see those, I really have this fantasy in my head of being like the slightly fat middle-aged woman who, like, the first slightly fat middle-aged woman to win BBC Sports Personality of the Year. Like, I have this fantasy where I'm
I was about to ask you,
because I'll do, like, I don't know, like, I'll do some, I'll like all the challenges that people have to do now are getting crazier and crazier, right? Because it's like we're like in this super, it's like challenges on steroids. Like, do you remember people used to just get in like baths of baked beans or whatever, and now it's this kind of like, now it's like you have to, like, I met Ashley Kane the other day, and he was like, oh yeah, I ran from Land's End to John O'Groats, and then I don't know, he cycled back down, and then he like kayaked or whatever, and I was like, what the fuck? But I think I would love to do something like that. Like, in my ideal world, weirdly, and this is something I never really thought of until recently, like, to have a job that is just outdoors moving around all day is my idea of absolute heaven. And that really surprises me as a sort of someone who spent much of her career sitting at a computer writing books, you know, by herself, and who grew up in London. And I would love to do some crazy sort of thing to raise money for Mental Health Mates, which is this charity I set up 10 years ago, which is all about moving for your mental health. But we'll see.
I think you should do it.
Yeah, I think I will. I think I will do. I think I might first. I don't know when this podcast is going to come out, but I think I'm going to try and do, like, like at Christmas, I might try and do like a half marathon in my pants or something in the cold. That's not a big thing, but
I think it's quite a big thing.
But I don't know. Like, I'm trying. There's something coming in my head, you know, but I don't know what it is.
Watch the space.
Maybe Runna can help me.
Well, we will be there. We'll help you whatever the challenge. We're going to segue over to Steph for our coaching tip of the week.
Today, your tip is on cross-training for runners. If you're a low mileage runner or someone that picks up niggles, then adding some cross-training supports your muscle balance and reduces that risk of injury. It keeps training interesting and complements your running nicely. Even one session a week can make a difference.
Thanks for that, Steph. I'm going to bring us back with our discussion for this week. So, Bryony, what would you say to someone who doesn't feel like they're a runner or who isn't comfortable enough in their own skin?
Oh, I would say you're totally a runner, babes, because it's usually a woman. But if you're a man, babes as well. Do you know what? Like, do you have two functioning legs? Do you know what I mean? Like, we're all runners. And I think that my advice to you would be, like, put all of that stuff about time and comparing yourself to other people out of the window. It's kind of the same as anything, really. It's the advice I give for anything. And also, I think for me, because I was that person who thought I wasn't a runner and I felt really self-conscious, I thought that I would be, like, laughed at. I don't know what I thought people would think, that, you know, I was running like Phoebe and Friends or whatever, which I think I look like a T-Rex. Do you know what I mean? In very slow T-Rex. And the thing I would say is that no one is looking at you, you know, and if they are looking at you, they're a dick. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one is looking at you. Everyone out there is in their own heads trying to beat their time or whatever. So, just go and try it. You know, what's the worst that can happen? It's like, you might not enjoy it, but it might be the best thing you've ever done. And just, you know, follow a plan, like do Couch to 5K or something, you know, and you can't really go wrong.
Yeah, I think we go for runs to, like, get out of our head and into our body. So you've got to appreciate what your body can do and not what it looks like, because it's your head that's telling you you're not a runner. Well, your body can do it.
This is the whole thing. It's like, for me, it is an escape from my head, you know, and that is actually really key. And we don't get into our bodies enough, you know, and you know, but also it's like, don't try and get out of that, like, mentality that you have to be running a certain pace, you know, that you have to be really good at it to do it. Like, it's nuts, you know, and And it's only really, we only really relate it to sport, you know, and it kind of goes back to what I think in school, you know, it was like you had to be really good at sport to do it, but that's rubbish. It's like saying you have to have a Michelin star to like cook in the evening, you know. No, we don't expect that of people, and yet we put these ridiculous pressures on ourselves that we, you know, I need to be super fast, and you don't. You just need to be out there doing it. And I think for me, the thing that really flipped exercise for me from something that I didn't want to do to something I absolutely did want to do was when I started focusing on it for the way it made me feel rather than the way it made me look, you know. And as soon as you take all of that sort of stuff out, it becomes enjoyable.
Yeah. And you probably, even though it no longer becomes the motivation, probably becomes the accidental byproduct, which is that you may well be prouder of your body, because it can now achieve and it can do this thing, and like the end goal is that we're happy and that we're proud.
Well, that's the thing. It's sort of it makes you appreciate your body in the way that we should be appreciating our body. Do you know what I mean? Which is that, oh my God, it can do these amazing things, as opposed to, oh, I look really hot, or, you know, which is okay. And if you want to look really hot, that's like fine, you know. I think I do look really hot because I'm entirely Delulu. But the you know, for me, it's like, it's about, getting into your body in a way that we're not taught to, especially as women, you know, appreciating what we can do, focusing on the amazing things our bodies can do rather than the things that we can't, which is, I feel we are sort of bought. I certainly feel as a 45-year-old woman, I was like reared on a diet of, you're too this, you're too that, you're not good enough at this, you need to change that, you know. And it's really alien to us to actually look at ourselves and appreciate ourselves, but it's really important that we do that.
To put your self-worth on like an arbitrary number that a clock says when you cross a finish line is wild, rather than your self-worth on what you've just achieved.
It is it's like, you know, we're all out there, you know, as you say, actually the longer you're out there, the more elite you are.
Shall we do this or that?
So we're going to present you, well, actually, it's not really this or that, it's just an if. But in this imaginary world, you can only run one distance for the rest of your life.
Oh, God.
Every run will be this distance. Every run will be 20 minutes around the block. Every run will be 5 kilometers, or every run will be a marathon.
Oh.
And you can never run 5K if you choose a marathon, and you can never run a marathon if you choose 5K. Ooh. What is your magical distance for every run for the rest of your life?
Oh, that makes me feel a bit sad.
Well, the good news is you can leave this podcast, leave the room, and do all the distances. Okay. But if you could pick one, what would it be?
Okay, so like I think I'm going to go for 8K. Like 5 miles. Yeah, I think that's a good one. It's not too short, not too long. But I have I think 8K.
I think that's a really nice number.
It's a sensible, you know, I feel proud of myself when I just did a little.
And it's also quite nice because it is divisible by both kilometers and miles. You can be like, I'm going 5 miles when you're on holiday in America, and then you can be like, I'm doing 8K today.
Yeah, 8K is 5 miles.
It's almost exactly.
Yeah. I think that's what I'd go for. Not my favourite distance, but it's what I would have
Anya,
to
what
plumb
would be your
for.
number?
It's so funny you said that, because when I'm like, oh, I don't really want to run, it's like, just go out for an 8K. Like, I feel like that's a manageable distance, but I also feel like I'm getting something from that. Like 8K.
I think I actually couldn't improve the number by going up or down. Because down is more helpful on a day where I'm not feeling motivated. Like 5K is easier than an 8K, but if I chose 5K, then on a day I'm feeling motivated, I can't do that at all. So I'm with you.
But also, number. I find it's like I start to feel like I'm definitely one of those people that takes a while to like get into Like I start thinking I am an elite athlete at around just over 5K, like 6K. I'm like, fucking hell, Bryony, you should go up for Team GB. You are so good. You know, like I'm like in my whole fantasy world. And it's, you know, I'm in my flow, and then it sort of starts to sort of suck away after about 8. So that's when I'm really in the endorphins between 6 and 8.
We should like test you at that like 5.5K mark, get some of your blood and measure the chemicals and then recreate that for other people, because I think everyone needs to experience what you're feeling at that point.
do also, what's really interesting is I do get the longer I go, the faster is obviously it's you know, it's subjective, but I definitely like speed up the longer I'm going.
Maybe we just need to get you running 100 miles.
I don't know. I think that might start to fall apart at that point. But yeah, I enjoy it the longer I'm out there, because also, I don't know about you, but like when I'm doing a really long distance and people are like, oh God, it's nearly the end, but it's not. I'm like, I love it, because the more I've got behind me, the more like euphoric I start to feel.
I agree. Okay, would you rather do every run for the rest of your life in your underwear, or every run in the pouring rain?
Every run in my underwear.
Great.
I mean, that's easy to answer, isn't it? Like,
What about every run in your underwear, or never be able to run in just your underwear?
I'm so confused.
So, as in, you must always wear a full outfit of running clothes.
Yeah.
And if you choose that option, you may never only run in your underwear, or you must always run in your underwear, regardless of your training run or holiday.
Always run in my underwear.
Will you ever run?
It's really liberating to run in your underwear. Like, I would really recommend it.
Well, I was about to say, should Anya and I come for a lap of Clapham Common?
Yeah.
I was about to say Batters Park and then have to, you know.
Yeah, I don't know how the bros would take it.
But is that, would you recommend? And then we can comment on our emotions thereafter.
It's liberating. Everyone who I've made quite a lot of people do it with me. A lot of high profile females I've made to come and do it. Just to like get numbers up on the Vitality 10K every year. And everyone is just like, you start off absolutely terrified. It's literally people's worst nightmare, you know, to be in public in your pants and just your pants. And then they're like, "Ooh!" Because also the response, people just love it. They're like, "You go, girl!" You know, and almost the kind of larger you are, the more they love it. You know, because people love to see a bum wobbling around, and you know, and there are people that don't, and but the people that don't tend to only make themselves known online, and then they can just piss off. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Would you rather start running from scratch all over again, or leave this room and have to run a marathon this afternoon?
Start running from scratch all over again. I'm not sure I can run a marathon this afternoon.
If your foot wasn't sore?
I don't like running in the afternoon. I like to get up and get it out of the way.
Tomorrow morning. Or do you think running from scratch would actually be a really amazing thing? You get to experience all of what you've experienced again.
Yeah. I'd love that.
I actually think that's probably the right answer, or what I agree with, which is actually such a brilliant thing. If you're listening and you haven't been on that journey yet, like, you've got that ahead of you. That's so exciting. So like, go and do that first run.
But I also kind of like, I sound like, it makes me laugh like this, like coming back from injury, like as if I'm Anya Culling. But the kind of like I like starting all over again with Couch to 5K. I'm like, it's, I don't know, like I love that, the excitement and the wow, you know, I get off on that. That's what I enjoy.
What would you rather, Ben?
I feel like it would be bad for my job if I had to start all over again.
Maybe it would be good.
Maybe it would be really good.
Because you'd be getting into the...
I think if I got the day off, if I didn't have to like, I think I'd actually rather do a marathon than the rest of my day's work. So if I do the marathon tomorrow morning or this afternoon, I think I'd actually see that as a privilege, but I can't do it because I like have more boring things to do.
Yeah.
But learning to run and getting all of those achievements that you get at that, the newbie gains or whatever you want to call it, is amazing. But I like my love of running now. I wouldn't want to like go through it again and feel differently at the end of it. I think I'd choose the marathon, but I think I'll be up for either.
Mm-hmm. And our final closing question, Bryony, is to describe your dream race. So what is it? Like, what's the distance?
Okay.
Where is it?
Okay.
What food and drink is at the finish?
Yeah.
And who would present you with your award?
Okay. So it's somewhere cold. So it's somewhere like London on a day where it's not like just where it's kind of 8 degrees or whatever, maybe a little bit of drizzle. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
I hate running in the heat.
Okay.
You'd rather the drizzle than a sunny, cold morning?
Definitely. All of the quote unquote fast things I've done have been in the pouring rain.
Okay.
Like I remember doing the Paris half marathon and it was absolutely soaking, and it was like for me it was like Kipchoge time. Do you know what I mean? And same the Great South Run a few weeks ago. It was absolutely hideous, and I just kept I want to keep. Like I don't know, you keep going. Whereas when it's hot, I just want to stop the whole time and just curl up, and I can't bear it. So it would be cold, grey. I don't know. I mean, cold and grey actually. Again, and flat. Don't like hills, and it would be 10 miles. I'd love 10 miles. I think that's a really cool distance.
Yeah.
And there would be that you get like water stops and gel stops, but there would also be like a chafing stop. Someone with like little things of body glide, so you don't. There's not enough of that on races. There's like some people I've seen people holding out like fistfuls of Vaseline, but I'm just not like, I don't know. I'm like, no, I don't know where that's been.
Also, I think it was at Paris Marathon at the 30 plus kilometer mark. There's people with the spray for your knee, that kind of stuff. The deep heat or whatever. I want Vaseline at that point. Like, I think that's we should advocate for that.
Body glide I think is the thing. I'm not sponsored by them, but they are really good. That's the question I get asked most. Well, the two questions I get asked most are like, where do you get your sports bras from, and where and how do you stop chafing? Yes, anyway, so that would be that, and at the end there would be like a burger.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I've run long distance, I don't find myself that hungry. It's like the next day. There would be a burger, some onion rings, and who would give me my medal? Elliot Kipchoge. Is his first name Elliot?
Yeah, Elliot.
Yeah. No, maybe not him.
He wouldn't be able to keep up with you if it's raining.
No, he would be in my wake. I think tonight I'll wake up and go, oh my God, I should have said that person. Kipchoge, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like a phenomenal event. And so you don't mind where it is as long as it's grey and flat, or do you ever?
I think I'd like it to be in a city. Again, I don't like running. Like I like scenery to change. I think that is very good for kind of. I whenever I'm in like the countryside or something and I try to run, I find it so boring because it's not. I'm very like ADHD.
Yeah.
Like running along the river, I find it's like great. It's like ticking off all of the kind of Battersea Power Station, Houses of Parliament, London Eye.
So should we make this the London 10 miler?
Yeah, that would be good. Could we do that?
Yeah.
Could we create that?
Are we all in underwear?
Yeah. I would love, and do you know what? I would love a mental health race where there aren't any, it's like I know this would be kind of impossible because cut-off times are obviously like, we need the roads back, do you know what I mean? But I would like it that there was no cut-off time, do you know what I mean? It was just like, just show up, you do what you want, babes, you do you know, no, and the pacers would go up to like, I don't know what time for 10 miles, but you know, and it would just be like really chill.
Well, you could take doing what part run have, a tail walker, and doing all abilities welcome.
Yeah.
Put that on a 10 miler in your underwear on a miserable grey day in London.
Yeah, and I think that would be my other tip for anyone like who's scared to get into running or who is like thinking of signing up for something. Like, make sure that the race you sign up for is kind of friendly to people of your ability. So like, make sure the cut-off time is generous and stuff, and the bigger the race it tends to be, the more inclusivity there tends to be. Do you know what I mean? Because I signed up for one in Rome, and it was just like, I felt it was like me and one 68-year-old speed walker, you know, at the back, and it does make a difference when you've got other people around you running at your pace. You feel like, we're in a gang, you know. So that would be my other piece of advice. Wow,
sounds like a phenomenal race. Great advice. And just thank you so much for coming on and sharing your roller coaster journey. And we cannot wait to see this incredible challenge that happens after Christmas next year. But no, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure you've inspired so many.
Oh, thanks for having someone like me on your podcast. It means a lot.
Don't go anywhere. We have an enormous update I want to tell you about of what we've been working on in Runna HQ. The incredible team have been working tirelessly for the last 6 months to completely revamp our new to running journeys. These are plans for people training for their first ever 5K, or if you haven't run a 5K for a very long time and want to return to running again, these are the plans for you. They are completely for free. They are completely revamped. They are now going to be the very best way for anyone to train for that 5K distance. So if that's you, get on the Runna app and train for it today. And if you have a friend that you want to kind of encourage to become one of your running buddies, go and tell them about this big new free launch. And it includes all of the amazing features that you get with the rest of our Runna plans, including adapting around your holiday, meaning that we'll adjust around any missed or skipped workouts, and being able to adapt around things that come up in the real world like illness. Go and check out our new to running plans today.